Government corruption has never been more prevalent or caused more harm. It's why extremism is on the rise. It's why the financial gap between the haves and have-nots has never been wider. And it's why our planet is at risk of an extinction level tragedy. That's why I need your help to keep exposing the truth about the rot on both sides of the aisle. Become a supporter or a friend of the show today by clicking on the coffee link in the description box below. Friends of the show join me on a Zoom hangout once a month, and you guys can ask me any questions you want, and I can get to know you better. But the most important reason to help is to keep the show alive. Together, we can and will save our country and our planet. Thanks in advance and enjoy the show. Hey, everyone. Welcome to Plants and Politics. So today's January 6th hearing was a little excruciating at times. There was a very intelligent and honorable judge who spoke, but he speaks so slowly. And you could probably paint your whole house by the time he finishes a sentence. But I'm speaking of Republican retired Judge Michael Luttig, and he testified in person today, and he said, among other things, that Trump and his supporters are a, quote, clear and present danger to democracy. He explained that he bases this opinion on the fact that they've signaled their intention to overturn the 2024 election if the outcome isn't to their liking. But the overarching themes of today were probably three. One was that Trump was told repeatedly by numerous people, very qualified people, that his vice president, Mike Pence, didn't have the authority to reject or delay the certification of the Electoral College votes. The second theme was that not only did Trump continue to pressure Pence, even after he was told over and over again, he can't do it, and even while the attack was underway at the Capitol, but also he and his minions directly incited the threats of violence against Pence. And then the third theme that I saw was how attorney John Eastman, who helped Trump to do these things, and he's most likely going to lose his license to practice law because he knew that his actions were unconstitutional and potentially illegal. And they prove these points and these themes with live testimony, video testimony from Trump, from Pence officials, from staff members, various videos of Trump at rallies, Ivanka Trump in her deposition, Rudy Giuliani, of course, videos from the Capitol showing Trump supporters quoting him and, yelling out his tweets to the crowd. There were a few shocking moments in today's hearing, although as with previous hearings, a lot of what was discussed is already public record, but it is good for the public to hear it straight from the source. You don't want them to keep crying fake news because, it was in the New York Times, it was in the Washington Post. Personally, I think the biggest bombshells from today were that, number one, John Eastman emailed Rudy Giuliani after January 6th and asked him for a presidential pardon. Obviously, you don't ask for a pardon unless you think you've done something illegal. And there's a catch-22 with that, right? Because how can Trump pardon someone for something that he claims to be totally legitimate and totally legal? If Trump is out there telling his supporters that the election was stolen and it's completely within his rights to have Pence overturn it for him, so keep sending money, how can he then say, but I'm going to pardon one of the attorneys who's helping me do it? I mean, the grift would end right then and there. The other shocker was that Eastman admitted that Pence didn't have the legal authority to halt or reject the electoral count, but he pushed for it anyway. So there was a conversation that he had with the legal counsel for VP Pence. It was a man named Greg Jacob. He spoke with Eastman, and Eastman conceded to him that if this matter was to go before the Supreme Court, they would be ruled against 9-0. They would 100% lose. And then Eastman also admitted to this Jacob guy that he wouldn't want Kamala Harris to have this authority to overturn the will of the voters in 2024. And he admitted that, yeah, well, Al Gore didn't have this authority back in 2000 when, he and Bush were going head to head. And he specifically said to this Jacob guy, but I want Pence to do it this time. I get that I don't want Kamala to have the power. Al Gore didn't have the power, but I want Pence to do it. In the same conversation, he said all this. And then Jacob also confirmed the previously reported emails from Eastman, which he sent during and after the Capitol attack, still blaming Pence for the insurrection, and then asking again for them to decertify the election. We also discovered that there was an FBI informant who was embedded within the Proud Boys. Now, we don't know if this was a Proud Boy that they flipped or if this was somebody who worked for the feds and actually, we somehow got into the group. But this informant told the agents that the Proud Boys said that they would have killed anyone who they were able to get their hands on January 6th. And they specifically said they would have killed Pence if they had the chance. It was also shared that on January 6th, while under siege, House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy told Mike Pence's chief of staff, a man named Mark Short, that he was able to get a hold of someone at the White House to ask for help, but he didn't think that they were taking it seriously. And the committee showed, with testimony and also one of Trump's tweets, that Chief of Staff Mark Meadows was informed of the violence and threats at the Capitol at or before 2 p.m., yet Trump sent that tweet at 2:24 p.m. calling out Pence and blaming him for not doing the right thing, directly inciting violence against him, further violence. The committee also said that they obtained a draft of Trump's speech on January 6th, and it contained no mention of Pence. So then they played a video of his speech that day, and it's clear he went off script and he mentioned Pence numerous times, falsely telling the audience that Pence held the power to change the outcome of the election, even though he had been told over and over and over again, even just the day before, that Pence did not have the ability to do it. And they proved with Trump's statements that, and testimony from multiple Pence staffers, that Trump lied to his supporters when he said that he and Pence were in agreement about Pence overturning the election. And the New York Times had reported that they weren't in agreement, that there was actually a big disagreement and argument over it. And then Trump went and told his supporters that it was fake news. But Pence's staff members confirmed that they and Pence were very upset that Trump made that statement. And Trump's advisor, Jason Miller, admitted in his deposition that Trump is the one who dictated that statement. So it's not like a staffer wrote that and wasn't aware that Pence wanted nothing to do with this. Trump himself tried to hold Pence's feet to the fire by putting it out there publicly that, oh yeah, Pence is on board with this. Send money. Totally going to happen. Keep sending money. They also played a short clip of Eastman taking the fifth in his deposition, and they said that he took the fifth over 100 times. What was that Trump said about taking the fifth again and criminals and the mob? I remember something. But the most prescient words ever spoken, maybe, came from Trump's White House counsel, a man named Eric Hirschman. In a conversation with Eastman about stalling out the Electoral College vote, Hirschman said to Eastman, quote, "I'm going to give you the best free legal advice you're ever going to get in your life. Get a fucking criminal defense lawyer. You're going to need it." Yeah, and he did. And here we are. So anyway, guys, I will definitely let you know about the next one. Thanks so much for watching and listening. Take care. I'll talk with you soon.